Will we maybe see a Deadpool 4?
Oh, God, no.
I had absolutely no input into what happened.
I was heartbroken. I'm not actually making a joke at all.
I want no more Deadpool. That's not fan speculation. That's not some clickbait rumor. That's the chilling reality insiders are whispering after Ryan Reynolds did the unthinkable. He turned on Disney. The same studio that once praised him as the man who revived an entire franchise has now become his biggest enemy. Why? Because they didn't just disrespect him, they cut his paycheck, stripped his power, and left him with no choice but to fight back in court. This isn't just another Hollywood salary dispute. This is Ryan Reynolds declaring war on the most powerful entertainment company on earth. A war sparked by betrayal, fueled by revenge, and carried on the back of the character he built with his own blood, sweat, and sarcasm, Deadpool.
Deadpool has broken more boundaries than just the fourth wall. It has become the highest-grossing R-rated film of all time.
I'm going to bomb or win. I want to have a say in it, and I want to have some authorship. And if I'm going to bomb, I want to be the architect of my own demise. I don't want to be a passenger on someone else's nose-diving jet plane.
And if this lawsuit goes the way insiders believe, it could spell the permanent end of everyone's favorite fourth wall-breaking anti-hero. But here's the twist that makes it even more explosive. Ryan isn't just suing for money. He's suing to expose Disney's darkest truth. The machine that has silenced actors, muzzled creators, and transformed billion-dollar franchises into corporate assembly lines may have finally gone too far. And the man who built Deadpool from scratch is about to tear it all down. So buckle up, because what started as a salary cut is about to unravel into one of the most shocking showdowns in Hollywood history.
Will we maybe see a Deadpool 4?
Oh, God, no.
Well, yeah, we developed the script 6 years ago, wrote this fantastic script. It leaked online, and Deadpool fans went nuts for it. So the studio granted us a small amount of money to make test footage. This test footage that we shot then sat on the shelf for 4 years, as it does. They didn't do anything with it.
The story begins with a single cold line in a contract. Ryan Reynolds, actor, producer, writer, and the very architect of Deadpool, opened up the final deal terms for Deadpool and Wolverine and felt the gut punch. His back-end profits, the same kind of money Robert Downey Jr. made playing Iron Man, had been cut. Quietly, without warning, without respect. It wasn't just a small adjustment. Sources close to the deal claim it was one of the most brutal reductions in recent Marvel history. Reynolds wasn't just losing millions. He was losing the recognition of his role as the man who made Deadpool possible. It wasn't about percentages on paper, it was about betrayal. And when Disney made that cut, they weren't just lowering his salary, they were making a statement. You're replaceable. To Ryan, that was the deepest wound. After years of fighting for the character, he suddenly found himself treated like any other cog in Disney's corporate machine. Insiders say the moment Reynolds realized what had happened was the exact moment the lawsuit was born. A line had been crossed, and the war had begun. To understand why this betrayal hit so hard, you have to rewind. Before Deadpool was a global phenomenon, before the billion-dollar box office returns, Ryan Reynolds was fighting a lonely battle. In 2009, Fox gave fans the disaster known as X-Men Origins. Wolverine, they butchered Wade Wilson, sewing his mouth shut, stripping him of personality, and reducing him to a punchline. Fans hated it. Reynolds hated it. And instead of walking away, he fought back. He spent years begging studios to take Deadpool seriously. He worked with writers, pitched scripts, and even leaked the infamous test footage that sent fans into a frenzy. Against every odd, Fox gave him a modest budget and a short leash. And what happened? Deadpool 2016 exploded. $782 million on a $58 million budget. A miracle in superhero cinema. And Ryan wasn't just the face in the red suit. He co-wrote scripts, crafted marketing campaigns, and transformed Deadpool into one of the most beloved comic book icons of all time. Without him, there is no Deadpool, no franchise, no billion-dollar machine. That's why Disney's decision to slash his pay wasn't just insulting, it was criminal. So when Reynolds filed his lawsuit, he wasn't just demanding money. He was demanding recognition for what he built from the ground up. When Disney acquired 20th Century Fox in 2019, fans thought Reynolds would finally get the respect he deserved. After all, Deadpool was the crown jewel of Fox's superhero lineup, and Disney had just inherited the most profitable R-rated franchise in history. Surely, they would treat him like a king. But behind the scenes, the opposite happened. Disney's corporate playbook didn't celebrate Reynolds, it targeted him. Executives wanted to sanitize Deadpool, make it family-friendly, tame it until it looked like every other MCU property. The sharp edges that made Deadpool special were suddenly seen as a liability. Reynolds resisted, but each year the pressure mounted. Creative freedom shrank. Studio notes piled up. By the time Deadpool and Wolverine entered production, Reynolds was no longer just an actor. He was a man fighting to hold onto his own creation. And then came the lawsuit. Because when the money finally vanished from his contract, it wasn't just proof of betrayal. It was proof that Disney had never planned to honor him at all. On the surface, Deadpool and Wolverine looked like a dream come true. Hugh Jackman returning, Reynolds back in the red suit, Marvel promising fans the crossover event of the decade. But insiders now claim the production was poisoned from the start. Reynolds' team reviewed the final terms and found his back-end payout slashed nearly in half compared to earlier films. Disney executives allegedly insisted it was standard restructuring. But Ryan knew better. He saw it as deliberate sabotage. And this is where the tension boiled over. Reynolds refused to stay quiet. He began turning down Marvel meetings, skipping calls, and sending a clear message: he wasn't going to play the corporate puppet. Fans never saw this during the glossy promotions. But behind the scenes, the film that was supposed to celebrate Deadpool's future had already become a courtroom battle over his past. For years, Ryan Reynolds hinted at his frustration through sly comments in interviews. A cryptic laugh here, a biting remark there. In one infamous Actors on Actors sit-down, he compared himself to a monkey rattling a cage. At the time, fans thought it was just humor. Now, it looks like foreshadowing. Disney insiders say tighten control over everything Reynolds said and did. Even his social media posts, once his most powerful marketing weapon, were muzzled by studio approval policies. It was like putting a gag order on a man famous for breaking the fourth wall. That's when Reynolds stopped smiling for the cameras. Behind the charm, he was preparing for battle. He lawyered up, built his case, and filed his lawsuit against Disney. This wasn't just a business dispute anymore. It was war. And Ryan Reynolds had just turned his frustration into the fight of his career. When the lawsuit hit headlines, many assumed Reynolds was just after a bigger check. But insiders knew better. Behind the scenes, he was already plotting his escape. His production company, Maximum Effort, quietly filed trademarks for a brand new project, a meta superhero series with a title that couldn't have been more pointed: Dead Wrong. The leaked description sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The show centers on a superhero actor betrayed by his own studio, who then turns the system against them. Sound familiar? Fans immediately saw the parallels. And the timing? It was no coincidence. Reynolds wasn't just suing Disney, he was writing his revenge into scripted television. For many, Dead Wrong looked less like entertainment and more like a middle finger pointed straight at Disney's corporate tower. And the lawsuit suddenly made sense. Reynolds wasn't walking away from Deadpool empty-handed. He was building Deadpool's spiritual successor. This time, one he owned entirely. The question wasn't if Disney would fight back, it was how. The lawsuit didn't just expose Reynolds' betrayal, it ripped the curtain off Marvel itself. Behind the glossy box office numbers and endless sequels was a studio on the verge of implosion. Writers quit in frustration, calling Marvel a factory where scripts weren't stories but puzzle pieces designed to fit crossovers. VFX artists went public about burnout, missed deadlines, and impossible demands. Projects like Blade collapsed under endless rewrites, proving the system was broken. And Reynolds? He was the first A-lister to say enough. By suing Disney, he wasn't just protecting his paycheck, he was shining a spotlight on the suffocating machine Marvel had become. Fans started asking the question Disney feared most. If they could do this to Ryan Reynolds, what are they doing to everyone else? The lawsuit became more than a personal battle. It was Exhibit A in the case against Marvel's collapsing creative empire. The moment the lawsuit leaked, fans erupted. Hashtags like #No, Ryan No Deadpool trended worldwide. Twitter threads called Disney soulless. Memes of Mickey Mouse stealing Reynolds' wallet flooded Reddit. To fans, this wasn't about money. It was about loyalty. Ryan Reynolds was Deadpool. He fought for the character, lived it, breathed it, and made it iconic. Without him, Deadpool was just another corporate mask. The lawsuit turned Reynolds into something bigger than a movie star. He became a symbol of resistance against the corporate stranglehold. Fans began to declare openly, if Ryan walked, so would they. Disney hadn't just cut a paycheck, they'd cut their bond with the audience. And that's the one thing money can't buy back. Here's where the story takes a wild turn. While Reynolds sued Disney in public, he was quietly building his escape route. Through his company Maximum Effort, he had already secured deals with platforms like Fubo TV, giving him distribution power Disney couldn't touch. He wasn't just making quirky Mint Mobile ads. He was testing storytelling models, audience engagement strategies, and production systems that could rival a studio. And now, insiders revealed, he was using Disney's own Deadpool profits to bankroll Dead Wrong, a new franchise designed to out-Deadpool Deadpool. The lawsuit wasn't just about clawing back money. It was about buying time. Because while Disney fought in court, Reynolds was quietly setting the stage for a revolution. So, what happens now? The lawsuit is ongoing, but the damage is already done. The cracks in Disney's empire have widened. Marvel's brand looks weaker than ever, and fans are starting to question whether the MCU still deserves their loyalty. For Reynolds, the path is clearer. He may never wear the Deadpool suit again, but he doesn't need to. He owns something more valuable than any costume: the audience's trust, and with Maximum Effort, he can take that trust wherever he wants. Disney thought cutting his salary would remind him who was in charge. Instead, it lit the fuse of a rebellion. Because Reynolds didn't just sue to get paid, he sued to expose the system. And the shockwaves of that lawsuit will be felt in Hollywood for years. There'll be no more Deadpool. Maybe that's true, but maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what Ryan Reynolds wanted all along. There'll be no more Deadpool. Those words aren't just speculation anymore, they're the warning shot Ryan Reynolds fired at Disney. What started as a quiet salary cut has exploded into a lawsuit that threatens to reshape Marvel's future. Disney may own the mask, the suit, and the brand, but Ryan Reynolds owns the heart, the spirit, and the fans. And with his lawsuit and new projects like Dead Wrong, he's showing the world that no paycheck cut, no corporate control, and no studio power can erase what he built. Deadpool might end at Disney, but Reynolds' fight is just beginning.